Did somebody say ambient?
Hi friends, and welcome to episode 15 of Did Somebody Say Ambient? This is the first episode of 2025, and as always I'll be bringing you the best in under the radar ambient and artist insight. To start the show, it'd be remiss of me not to pay tribute to David Lynch, the late great visionary who we lost on the 15th of January of this year. To begin, you're going to hear from Phillip Jefferies, who's the conductor of the Blue Rose Orchestra.
I'm Phillip Jefferies, conductor of the Blue Rose Orchestra. I've managed to temporarily escape my kettle, and I'm honoured to have been asked by Lone Tapes to talk about the visionary artist David Lynch and what he personally meant to me following his sad departure from this mortal coil. It's been heartening to see the huge outpouring of love for David. Social media in particular has been awash with stunning tributes from his family, friends, colleagues and fans. It's incredible how one man's work has been able to touch countless lives all over the world. So although I could talk about him and his work for hours, I am going to try and focus on what David Lynch the artist meant to me personally and the influence his work has had on my creativity in my life, which is quite the accomplishment, I think, from an artist that I've never met. I guess if there was one word I had to try and use to describe David, it would be inspirational, both in his works and how he uncompromisingly lived his life, or the art life as he called it. On the creative side, there are a few things that really resonated with me. I loved how he was focused on the idea and expressing the idea by whatever medium was necessary. He painted, he did music, and of course he was a filmmaker, but I always felt like to him what medium the idea was expressed in didn't really matter. It was being faithful to the idea and bringing it into the world that was important. That openness has definitely informed my worldview as I grew up, and although I primarily make music, opening up the possibility of playing with visuals and film and seeing the idea as one has sparked a well of creativity for me. I am also deeply grateful to David Lynch for bringing abstraction in film and TV to a mainstream audience. With music and other mediums, abstraction and experimentalism is to some extent more readily accepted and expected. But when I think of mainstream film and TV, audiences don't seem to always be as readily available to accept abstraction in the work. Ambiguity is one thing, and audiences tend to devour that, but I always feel Lynch went further with the abstraction. I remember when I first saw Mulholland Drive back in 2001. I was just a young punk finding my way in the world, and I was blown away by the beauty and the mystery and the holy cow, what did I just watch? A pair of enraged, shrunken old parents emerging from a blue box held by some mud-faced monster behind a diner, chasing Diane or Betty or whoever the hell that person is now around her bedroom. I absolutely loved it, and it remains my favourite film of all time. This inevitably led me down the rabbit hole of Lynch films and TV. Blue Velvet and Eraserhead followed suit, and of course Twin Peaks. Who else could get away with showing a man sweeping a floor of a roadhouse for 3 minutes, or pretty much an entire hour-long episode devoted to the birthing of evil, filled with sawdust explosions, frog moths and psychotic woodsmen? And yet we watched it and we loved it. The joy and the mystery and not knowing. It is the bravery and singularity of his vision that I think chimes most deeply within me, and something I try to remember whenever I have doubt in my own work. David was, of course, also famously known for his devotion to transcendental meditation and his views on consciousness. I won't dive too deep here on this massive topic, but if you are interested and you haven't already, I would urge you to seek out some of the many YouTube videos of David talking about his practice. It really is a fascinating way of looking at the world, and in his own words, if you think it's baloney, fine. Although I haven't tried transcendental meditation, I have been meditating on and off for about 10 years now, and have definitely felt the benefit of a consistent and deeper practice. Would I have started a practice without knowing Lynch's take on it? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure I could say directly that because David Lynch meditated I started a practice, but I do think the enthusiasm he shows for TM definitely influenced me in sustaining a practice, and I'm grateful for that. For me personally, if you want to get a bit deep, I'd say that David Lynch is actually a bit like William Blake, a sage that dwells in that other realm, the eternal, nudged on by the others, urged to translate and make a creation of time to share with us mortals. That would be my spin on it, or you could just say he was a great artist, up to you. As well as the conceptual, I always felt like there was an irresistible humanity with David Lynch. Although I never met him, you can see from the way he is talked about by his cast and people he worked with just how highly he was regarded as a human being, not just as a director. There is an authentic fondness for him that comes across in their words, a warmth that is pretty difficult to fake, I think, and putting that feeling into the world is a wonderful thing. David Lynch really did have a way of sparking curiosity and exploration. My brother-in-law and his family lived over in Seattle, and he was sadly very ill with cancer. We went over to visit, and the town of Twin Peaks was only a 40-minute drive away. Luckily, they indulged my childlike enthusiasm. They took me on a tour. We went to Snoqualmie Falls, the famous road where the Twin Peaks sign was, and to North Bend, where we sat in the Double R Diner and had coffee and cherry pie. As Cooper says, it really is a spectacularly beautiful part of the world, full of Douglas fir pines and amazing nature. Sadly, my brother-in-law passed not long after that visit, but the day out exploring the real-life world of Twin Peaks with him and the family will stay with me forever, really. We had a really happy day. It's not just the big stuff either that's influenced me. I remember an interview where he talked about eating the same thing for lunch every day so he didn't have to think about it and could free his mind to go places. It was tuna, tomato, feta cheese and a little bit of olive oil. Now, although I'm not quite as dedicated as having the same thing every day, I do regularly eat this combo for what is affectionately known as the Lynch lunch in my household. On the day David Lynch died, his family put out a beautiful statement, including one of David's favourite sayings, "Keep your eye on the donut and not on the hole," which I think is a marvellous way of looking at the world. This inspired me to create the Blue Rose Orchestra and make a track, a respectful audio collage of different versions of Laura Palmer's theme combined with David's words of wisdom. Lone Tapes wanted to open the show with it today, but it's a bit copyrighty. If you wanted to seek it out, just search up the Blue Rose Orchestra. The track is called Keep Your Eye on the Donut and Not the Hole, and it's on SoundCloud and YouTube, and there's also a Blue Rose Orchestra Instagram page too. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thanks ever so much for listening. It's a genuine honour to be able to share my thoughts and feelings on the big man. Here's to David Lynch in eternal gratitude. Regards, Phillip Jefferies. It's time to go dreamy.
Thank you to Phillip Jefferies, who you just heard there, paying tribute to David Lynch. Also be sure to check out his work, the Blue Rose Orchestra, with a track called Keep Your Eye on the Donut, Not the Hole, which is available over on SoundCloud. Up next, you're going to hear from Noah Rosanes with a track called Lynching.
So my name is Noah Rosanes, and I'm a Danish-American producer and guitarist. I'm working on a lot of ambient music lately, and just the day before David Lynch passed away, I had been listening to the theme of Laura Palmer, and it's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, and I remember it from when I was a kid, the magical mystery of the theme and the whole series. So I'd just been listening to this song, and I was in France in a house that I had gotten for a week just to write and produce music. And then I heard he had passed away, and then I went into my little studio and I started playing around with some pedals and just trying to find a vibe. And then suddenly I found this loop, deep loop of my guitar just going like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, this is the Twin Peaks vibe. So I just let that go, and then I started playing some chords, minor chords, setting the mood. And then I just remembered this video of Angelo that wrote the theme, where he's speaking about how he wrote the music with David Lynch by his side, and how David Lynch was showing him and telling him what he was seeing inside and how he transformed that into music. And I was thinking of that video clip, and I just remembered the way that the chords went from the minor to the major. So I thought, let's do that. So I just sort of transitioned into a major chord, and that gave me that opening David Lynch Twin Peaks vibe I was looking for. So then I fairly quickly recorded it, and then right afterwards I went out in the garden outside, and I recorded a version where I'm playing it that I posted to my Instagram, and to a tribute to David Lynch. And that's the song you're able to hear right now in a little longer version. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
You just heard Noah Rosanes with his words about David Lynch and the track that he created called Lynching. You can find Noah Rosanes across the socials, and on Instagram you can look up the handle Noah Rosanes Reflections. So do check him out for more information and to links to his main website, which is www.reflectionsconcert.dk. I'm sure everyone who was a fan of David Lynch will be remembering him in their own special way. For me, I'm digging out my old copy of Eraserhead on VHS tape and also re-watching Twin Peaks from the start. It's going to be some journey. Rest in peace, David.
This is Hiram, and you're listening to Did Somebody Say Ambient? Heartwood is the dense inner part of a tree trunk. It's rich in color and essential oils. The track was created at Natural Sound Studio, and it's an intimate improvisation for voice and Moog Sub 25 synthesizer with an old dusty Yamaha electric piano and stereo signal processing. Prized for its durability and its fragrance, Heartwood represents strength, support, and the core essence of life. Check out my new album, Green Green Earth, at matthewhiram.bandcamp.com, and come say hi at my website, www.hiram.earth. Thanks for listening.
You were just listening to a track called Heartwood by Minneapolis, Minnesota-based sound artist Hiram. It's from an album called Green Green Earth, which is available over on Bandcamp. Please also check out further works by Matthew, and in particular at Gold Beach by Earth Speaks, which is one long field recording that was captured at Gold Beach, Oregon. You'll be hearing clips of this throughout this podcast, and you can hear it now, which is the waves captured at this location. Head over to matthewhiram.bandcamp.com for more information. and take time to enjoy the sound of the waves, which, as Matthew puts it, is an invitation to pause and breathe.
Hi, my name is Paco Maddalena and I am a filmmaker and composer. I create tracks for films, documentaries, commercial, readings and theater performances. The track I've chosen is titled Soave and is a part of my latest release, Oltre, the first in a series of 3 cassette tapes, each featuring 5-minute recordings per side, totally 10 minutes of sound, an auditory journey into the purest and most experimental ambient music. The 2 tracks that make up the release, Soave A-side and Pareri Discordi B-side, were entirely created using an Eurorack modular system. Every sound results from a fluid and instinctive compositional process recorded live in a single session with no overdubs or subsequent edits. This technical choice highlights the importance of immediacy and sincerely the creative process. Each sonic detail was shaped in real time, making the album a unique testament to an unrepeatable creative moment. The album Alter represents a reflection on time and a perception through minimalist and layered sound structures. Here I explore the concept of immediacy itself. Each track is a unique, unrepeatable performance, a fragment of moments flowing organically into another. The modular sounds transition between drones, ethereal textures, and subtle pulses, evoking an inner landscape that invites deep listening. Soave, the track I'm presenting, carries dedicated and suspended atmospheres, where sonic textures intertwine with luminous drones. It's a contemplative journey that invites the listener to let themselves be carried away by a shooting and meditative sonic flow. You can find it on my Bandcamp page. Enjoy listening!
just listening to a track called Suave by Paco Maddalena. It's off a 2-track release entitled Ultra, and it's released in November of last year. Head over to pacomaddalena.bandcamp.com, where you can pick up a digital copy of this release or a cassette.
Did somebody say ambient?
Hi, my name is John Reidar Holmes, and you're listening to Did Somebody Say Ambient? I'm a musician based in Sweden, and I play long-form generative ambient on a modular synthesizer, guitar, and tongue drum. Lone Tapes has very kindly agreed to include some of my music on this podcast, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing this year musically. So, I've started a subscription service on Bandcamp, and that subscription service, if you choose to subscribe, will give you access to basically everything that I release this year. So I'll be doing monthly releases called subscriber packs, and there'll be 12 of those, one for each month. You'll also get access to my back catalogue of 23 albums, I think it is now, and you'll also get access to any other albums that I release. So, and there'll be at least 2 of those coming out this year. So, the music that I make is long-form generative ambient. I like to create music that evolves slowly over time. My tracks are usually at least 10 minutes long, if not much longer, and it's music that you can zone out to, relax to, study to, feel better to, So I hope you enjoy it, and go check out my Bandcamp. It's John Reidar Holmes, Reidar spelled R-E-I-D-A-R, and take care and enjoy the music. Bye for now.
was a track called Losing Eden Yet Again by John Reidar Holmes. It's from an album called The Lord of the Shades Decides. Originally released through Calamine Records, you can now find The Lord of Shades Decides over on John's Bandcamp page, which is johnriderholmes.bandcamp.com. This is a track by RSN. just heard a track called Clarity 1.6. It's by an artist called RSN and features Merle Louise on piano. The album is called Clarity No. 1 and you can find it over at emerge.bandcamp.com. RSN shared some words about the track. It's the final track on the collaboration album by RSN and Merle Louise, and the song is characterised by a wonderfully reverberant piano, which improvises freely, but also returns to similar patterns again and again. The shallow bass pads carry the sound and emphasise the dreamy quality. In the last third of the song, the dynamics increase slightly without breaking up the light and airy sound. RSN is the work of Thomas Rosen, and he's also the founder of Momentarily Records. If you head over to Instagram and search up rsn.entities, you can find more about this artist and also the label Momentarily Records. Coming next, we're going to have a little change of pace with words and music by Jonathan Ammons.
You're listening to Did Somebody Say Ambient? I'm Jonathan Ammons, and this next song you're going to hear is one that I just released called Someone Else's Choice. For years, my music career has felt really split in two. I've played in Americana and country bands, and I've also made ambient and abstract tape loop music. And I really wanted to figure out a way to kind of combine the two. So I started looking for the rhythms in my tape loops and playing drums, bass, and keyboards over top of that. And I really liked the sounds I was getting, but it really made me have to change the way I sang, so I had to sing almost at a whisper. The record that came out of these experiments is called Hymns of the Anthropocene. It's going to come out in the next couple months, but it was the first song that really came out of those recording projects. The record was made using a 4-track tape recorder with a 5-second tape loop, and I would record different sounds on top of that just to create a bed of noise that I could fade in and out with different channels to kind of simulate a verse and chorus section. I laid some drums down and then recorded the tape over that, and then found piano that kind of fit in with the drone. And the lyrics kind of came right after that. The melody hit pretty easily. And I kind of knew what the song was about immediately. It's kind of a ambient noise pop sound, I guess you could call it. It's really set the mood for the whole record, and I think it's going to be the opening track of the album. So I thought it was kind of fitting to release it ahead of the record, as we're trying to launch an Indiegogo campaign to get some funding for it. I was hoping to release this album in October of last year, but a hurricane destroyed my hometown of Asheville, North Carolina. You don't normally expect a mountain town to get smashed with a hurricane, but it wrecked the entire city. You know, we're still kind of at a standstill. So I'm kind of having to treat music like my job now. So if you like what you're hearing, please come and support me. You can find my music on Bandcamp or follow me on Instagram at Little Endless Loops. Thanks again to Steve for having me on. I really love this show and all it's become for the ambient music community.
Things will be alright. You've never been in this neighborhood before, but you
And that was Jonathan Ammons with a track called Someone Else's Choice. You can pick the single up at jonathanammons.bandcamp.com. And as Jonathan said, it's from a forthcoming album that we should hear some more details on at some point soon, hopefully. Jonathan's an artist from Asheville, North Carolina. And as you heard, there's a hurricane there that caused a lot of devastation to the area. So we just send you love and hope and wish you all the best, Jonathan. And it's great to see that despite everything that you're still making music and have the passion to release it. And we look forward to hearing about more details as soon as you can about the new album.
Hello, this is Schoeffler. Thanks for having me again. The track for this show is called Old Nanny Cumulus. Here you can hear old analog equipment in combination with acoustic guitars in overdub. In the 80s, I didn't own a sequencer, so I created a trigger signal with a drum loop by the signal processor of the Korg MS-20, which was very unstable. Because of the timing and the melancholic melodies, the track gets a warm and honest naive character. Have fun listening. Bye.
And that was a track by Regensburg, Germany-based artist Schoeffler. It was a track called Old Nanny Cumulus, and it's from his latest album entitled Prototyping Part 3, which you can find over on Bandcamp. Head over to schoeffler.bandcamp.com, where you can buy a copy of the digital album. So we're nearly at the end of episode 15, and I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to receive so much great music again and feature the first episode of 2025. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this year brings and bringing so much more new music to many more ears and hopefully help many more artists gain more fans and hopefully some purchases as well. I'd also like to send love and best thoughts to all of those who've been affected by the LA wildfires. It really has been a tragic event to watch unfold back here in the UK, and I really hope that no matter what you're going through, you can rebuild and get back to where you were at some point soon. I know there's artists and listeners that would definitely have been affected by the fires, so please, I hope if anything that this podcast can bring a moment of calm and hope. A huge thank you to all artists who've been featured in this episode. Thank you Phillip Jefferies and Noah Rosanes for your wonderful tributes to the late great David Lynch. And a huge thank you to Hiram for letting me use his wonderful field recording, which you can hear between tracks. To play us out is a track that feels very appropriate right now. It's by Alberto Lucendo, and it's called Calm Giving. I'm Lone Tapes, and I'll see you next time.
Hello, ambient friends. This is Alberto Lucendo from Berlin, and today I'm bringing a song. It's called Calm Giving. This song was made out of the feeling of looking for calm in a time where it seems like productivity and content creation is a constant needing. I found myself in these kind of loops where I was even feeling bad when I'm not doing something productive, and that happened even when I was doing music. So I start to have like a strange feeling of pushing myself to do music with some purpose, and that was kind of stressing me and not allowing me to enjoy doing music anymore. So what I did is I just created a template on Ableton Live and put there 3 tracks, Juno 60, Mini Moog, and a track for my electric guitar, and insert the Ableton looper to every track, and I send each track to the reverb cascade and a tape echo. And with this template I start to improvise for hours and hours in the tranquility of the night, and I start to generate a lot of music, and I start to have a lot of fun. And I found like this music, I even like it more than the music I was trying to make with some purpose of sharing or making a record and stuff like that. So I just keep going, like doing music with this template, like simple and with no structures or fixed purpose. And what you're listening today is just a track of one of these sessions, and I hope this inspire you or just remind you that it's important to have fun doing music and keep a healthy process that enlightens your creativity.
Did somebody say
ambient?
see the mustard?